Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the NJ1ST podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald. I have another guest joining me today. Her name is Bridget Herbst. She's from the Americans for Fair Treatment. They're going to inform us. She's going to inform us about unions, specifically the NJEA, how we can sift and move about in New Jersey, and a bunch of information regarding the unions altogether. Thank you for joining us today.
Great. Thank you for having me.
And if you could just introduce yourself a little bit and we'll get right into the discussion.
Sure. I'm the Senior Organizing Director at Americans for Fair Treatment. I've been with AFFT, as we call ourselves, since 2018. So shortly after the Janus decision, which we can talk a little bit about, our organization started helping any public sector worker that, because of that Supreme Court decision, decided they wanted to opt out of their union membership and stop paying dues. So we've helped, hundreds, probably thousands of people across the country stop paying union dues. We've been able to refer them to some nonprofit pro bono law firms if they've had issues trying to stop their union dues. Any kind of issue that someone's having with their union, we're happy to talk to them. If they want to reach out to us, we can certainly try to either answer their questions or, refer them on to somebody that can. We originally started just in New York and Pennsylvania. I think we're in over 30 states now. So we have a free membership program open to any public sector worker. We also have an allied membership program that's open to anyone. So anyone that wants to support public sector workers is welcome to join. A lot of benefits with our free membership program. Probably the most important one for this call is that we have a scholarship program that we offer to teachers. So if they opt out of their union, but they want to get liability insurance, or they're worried about legal protections, they can join our program. We offer a free scholarship for 1 year to any of the union alternatives. So we work closely with a group called Christian Educators, AAE. I think those are the two that would predominantly be in New Jersey.
Okay, great. And we're going to have a great discussion with New Jersey and the teachers union, NJEA, but yes. Americans for Fair Treatment is all different kinds of unions. So
any public sector worker, we're happy to help. I would say the bulk of our membership are probably teachers, gotcha. But we have, members who are police officers, traffic control, municipal workers, city workers. And we now have we have a lot of federal workers that have joined recently as well.
So. Yeah, I can imagine, right? In New Jersey, we have the nurses that just went on strike. They're battling the unions. Yeah. And I believe it's Robert Wood Johnson Hospital. I think it has a university, sort of. So it's probably public sector in a way, kind of. I'm not sure. But this one, we're going to talk about the teachers. And we could go right into how you were describing before, the voluntary membership. That's really what you're excelling at and succeeding at, informing teachers, right? That's who would be giving their dues to the NJEA, but also does it also do paraprofessionals?
Yep. Yeah. So, for those union alternatives that we offer the scholarship for, anybody that works for a school district, so whether it be a teacher, paraprofessional, bus driver, they cover all sorts of employees. So.
Great. Now, how do you manage? Oh, sir, go ahead.
No, anyone that works for a school district would be covered.
Sure. So, and myself going to school for political science, they always put in the work to right states philosophy. But how do you manage to get teachers to not pay those mandatory dues? Aren't they mandatory no matter what, even if you don't choose to be represented by the union?
They are not. So until the summer of 2018, they were. So while you never had to be a union member, until 2018, you still probably had to pay some kind of, they usually called them fair share fees, or something along those lines. So while you weren't necessarily a member, you still had to pay the union to represent you. In 2018, there was a Supreme Court decision, Mark Janus versus Ask Me. So he sued his union because he didn't like the way his union was spending his money. They were spending it on all sorts of political things, lobbying for things that he didn't necessarily support. So he sued, and the Supreme Court agreed with him and said that the government cannot force you to associate with a union. So as a condition of your employment, they cannot force you to be a member of the union. So he was given back his dues, and that freed every public sector worker in the country, depending on whether you're in a right to work state or not, to be able to opt out of paying union dues. So the interesting thing about public sector unions is that there's this thing called exclusive representation. And so what exclusive representation means is that the union has negotiated with your employer to be the exclusive representative of any position that's covered under that collective bargaining agreement. So whether you're a member or not, the union still has to represent you because they have chosen to exclusively represent every position in there. So, I think the union likes to call people that have decided not to pay union dues freeloaders. We hear that a lot from the unions, but what we say is that people have a First Amendment right to association. They can't help the fact that the union has exclusive representation to their position. So, most of our members are people that either disagree, with the way the union's spending the money. We have a lot of, particularly teachers, that do really like their local union in their school district or at their school. They may be really good friends with their union president. And they like the things that their union does at their district, but they may not necessarily like the NJEA or they may not like the NEA. But the way the bylaws are written for those national and state unions, you don't have the option. So if you want to be a part of the union, you have to be a part of the whole package, unfortunately.
And I believe that's probably justified or ratified, whatever, by the Department of State or the Department of Education, probably.
Yeah, those bylaws, are recognized, as binding.
And I understand. So to clarify, if people believed, and rightly so, that their money, their dues, is a part of their speech, and they don't want that to go to the NJEA, they can now opt out because of this 2018 decision, which a lot of people might not be aware of, Janus. And I remember it keep coming up over and over, but now it makes sense.
Yes.
But it seems like now there's still a First Amendment issue with the NJEA still taking the initiative and representing these people that disassociate with them, even though they're not paying dues.
Yeah, and there's actually a few cases probably coming up that will, kind of put that into question. There's a case in New York with some college professors in New York City that are suing their union, which is the PSC, because they are, the PSC put out a resolution a few years ago condemning Israel and supporting Palestine. And these professors are mostly Jewish professors. Some of them are even Israeli citizens. So, they really felt like, it wasn't enough for them just to stop paying union dues. They really don't want to be in any way represented by the PSC. It's part of their job. So I think, those are the things we'll probably start seeing in the future post Janus.
Interesting. Right. Yeah. And if universities take a certain stance, that means they're speaking for the whole university. And that's the whole conundrum that we're talking about.
Yes.
That's interesting. So the next thing that you did mention was, I guess, not the alternative just yet, but the issue with the disability insurance. And if you could touch on that more, but it seems like it's financial leverage that they're doing against these individuals.
It is. So what we've heard from quite a few teachers in New Jersey is that they do want to leave the NJEA. They don't like paying, for the politics and the things that they're supporting. However, because their district doesn't offer them any kind of long-term disability policy, they get that policy through the union. So if they decided to stop paying the union, they would no longer be able to access that policy because it's a particular perk the union offers to members. So then they'd be on their own to kind of buy any kind of disability policy. We see this a lot with teachers also with liability insurance. So a lot of teachers get liability insurance through the union, but that's also a policy you can purchase through another organization. And it would cover you, if there was a student or, somebody made a claim against you in a professional manner, those policies could be called up, to give you legal protection. So we really just want to get the word out to teachers in New Jersey that, there are alternatives to these insurances. They're more than welcome to check out our free membership program. Part of that scholarship is a 1 year to, the union alternative of their choice, where they would get that liability insurance and they'd also be able to purchase disability insurance. So they can cut their ties to the union if they really want to. Yeah. And, the cost savings is significant. So not only are you not paying union dues, which, I think in New Jersey are upwards of $1,500 a year. Those union alternatives, they can get a 1 year scholarship from us, but after that they run less than $300 a year. So, if you do the math, they're actually saving money every year.
Right. Great. And just to educate someone myself, 30 years old, 30 years young, healthy, working, the disability insurance, Would people, teachers, people, members of the union need that because of dependents, or is this for pensioners themselves needing disability insurance, or what
No,
is
just,
that?
it
It's for the
usually,
most vulnerable, it sounds like.
yeah, if you were injured and had to be out of work for a long period of time,
Okay.
you had some kind of major surgery and you were going to be out of work for a long period of time. Those are policies you can pull up that, would provide you with some supplemental income so that you could be
I
covered.
see. Long time accidents and
Yes.
surgeries. Got it. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. Thank God I haven't had that yet, but I'm sure it's going to be coming around this corner. And is there anything else you'd like to discuss before I get into the politics of the NJEA?
No, I think that's it. We're happy to answer any
Oh,
questions about those things or refer people. I'm certainly not an expert on insurance, so we can certainly refer teachers on to the insurance brokers if they have
great.
questions about the specific policies.
And where can they, people, viewers, reach you or get more information, or
Right
where
on
can
our
they
website.
start?
Yep, right on our
Okay,
website, Americans for Fair Treatment. If you Google us, and then if you look, we have some bars up at the top, and one of them would direct them directly to the membership.
great. Yeah, and I looked up the website, went on it, has great information on it, and that's what came up with the local only unions. And Janice Rights has a lot more information there. It's law, legal talk. So people, if you want to get to know it, you have to do a little bit more research. But it seems like you can opt out of the dues and then start your own local union, like you were saying. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
People might not even know that.
Yep. One of the perks of our membership is we have a lot of resources. And one of those is like a decertification manual. So we've heard from lots of teachers that, they don't necessarily dislike the idea of a union. They want to be able to go in and negotiate and bargain with their employer as a group, but they may not like the state union, the national union. So we have a manual on there where they could take that template and apply that to their own situation. So if they could get the majority of the teachers in their district to agree to decertify from their union, then they could go and form their own little bargaining unit, independent of anybody else. That would just be there to negotiate with their employer.
It's pretty cool because
Yeah.
people who might not know that might be interested in doing something like that, and it could spark a national revolution. Who knows?
Yeah.
Something
Yes.
small.
Yeah. And we're seeing that a lot in the news in the private sector with some of the private sector unions. So a lot of the Starbucks branches
That's
that
cool.
signed up because the union made them lots of promises that they weren't able to fulfill are now looking to try to decertify. It's a difficult process. It definitely requires legal help, but it's certainly doable. We're seeing it a lot now.
Yeah, I know a lot of parents who are on board of education or in favor of school choice are going to be watching this video because they want any kind of resource at all to go after the
Right.
NJEA to use it as a defense. And we can just talk off the cuff for the last couple of minutes if you'd like. I think that
Sure.
was great information for everybody. Thank you.
Yes.
In New Jersey, for the NJEA, they are active and they are strong. Myself, I'm from a family of teachers. My sister, my mother, my grandmother, myself is probably going to become a teacher one day. And I remember going to the Atlantic City convention. It was a huge convention that they had for all
Mhm.
the NJEA. It must be huge. My mom would take me as a little child, and it was very educational, very informative. There might have been stuff going on back then, but the NJEA throughout all 2023 and then all the way to their convention, they had very progressive campaigns. Is this something new, or is this on par for unions, teacher unions?
Yeah, and it's what we see in every state. It's not specific to New Jersey. So
Hmm.
we have a great section on our website, and I know we have plans to do New Jersey coming up in 2024. But so unions have to file with the Department of Labor these forms called LM2s, and it's basically a financial disclosure for all the ways they collect money and all the ways they spend money. So we have an amazing staffer who loves to take a deep dive into these LM2s, and so he goes in and he breaks down all of the spending. So we have them on there for the national union. So NJEA is an affiliate of the NEA. So people could go on and look, and it really breaks it down to how the unions spend their money. I think one of the most startling things we found was that of the money that the NEA is bringing in, only
Mhm.
7% of that is spent assisting members. So the rest of that money is spent on other things that don't necessarily have to do with helping their members. And you know, in 2021 to 2022, they spent 49 million on politics. So, you know, a lot of times our members will ask the union, you know, can you promise me that my dues aren't going to be spent on politics? And they'll say, yes, that's a separate PAC that we collect money for, but that's not true. You know, if you take a look at these LM2s, you'll see the different ways that the unions are really spending money. We really break it down, you know, by the dollar. If you go on our website, you can see, but for example, there's the Progressive Caucus Action. They spent $150,000 on that. They spent, this is for the National Union. They spent $3 million on Fair Share Massachusetts, which is a progressive advocacy organization. So all kinds of lobbying, supporting of candidates, phone banking, and things that the unions are doing, you know, with regular union dues, not PAC money.
And I'm sure it's really disproportionate when it comes to like New Jersey that gets all the millions instead of like Mississippi or Alabama or something like that. Just to top off on what you said, I uncovered in New Jersey Sunlight Policy Center. And they gave me, oh, okay. Yeah. I just came across them. A lot of times I'm the guy that looks up the votes of the elected officials. Yeah. So everybody comes in my DMs and gives me the filings of contributions and all this. I'm like, oh my gosh, where's all this money coming from and going to? So they revealed that there was this this political activist in New Jersey that was getting money from the NJEA through a different back end group, like you just showed.
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, it won't necessarily show on the LM2, you know, a straight line. Usually they'll fund some kind of, you know, action committee or, you know, some kind of nonprofit organization that will then funnel this money into, you know, these kind of progressive organizations.
Right. There was one other thing I had on my mind, but that was some good information there. I'm definitely going to watch this over and get all of that again. Is there anything else on your head?
We have a great webinar for our members on our member portal. So if anyone wants to join, you know, public sector worker or not, we take ally members also. So, but we have a great webinar on there that breaks down how to read the LM2. So not only how to find it, but then how to, you know, look at all those dollar spends and see how it's spent. So, you know, if you have parents or other advocates out there that want to go in and see how those monies are spent, they can certainly do that.
Here's the last thing that I remember. Sure. So in New Jersey, we got a reputation, I guess, but we have top Republican leaders in our party that are getting a lot of money from the NJEA over and over. I've been involved in politics for a very long time, and I just came across this. Again, I don't look into the money. I look at the votes, look at people's actions, but it seems like you have to take the money if you want a seat at the table, as they like to say.
You're right. And, you know, we see this from school boards to, you know, Congress. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, that the unions are giving all of their money to Democrats. We see a lot of Republicans that take money from the unions, you know, and obviously the unions then expect them to vote certain ways for the things that they want. So, you know, I always tell people, you know, if you hear somebody supporting something, you know, there's a few different websites you can go on to. I think Open Secrets is a great one, and you can look up each individual candidate and see, you know, see the financial disclosures for their campaign and see, you know, where they took money from. So I think that's definitely, you know, especially for parents that are advocating at school board meetings and things like that, that's a great tool for them to go on and see, you know, which candidates were supported by the teachers unions.
Because it's really unfortunate when these parents or people getting involved for the first time are backing people and they're the people they should be fighting against, kind of as quid pro quo. Yeah. But that's great information. Thank you so much for joining us, joining a free speech platform. It seems like you are a warrior in the fight for this truth and helping Americans. I very much thank you for this and joining us. Sure. And once again, this is Bridget Herbst, Americans for Fair Treatment. People look her up, follow her. Are you on social media, on X at all?
We are. Our Americans for Fair Treatment is, yes, we are on X. We are on Instagram. I believe we even have a TikTok.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, cool. I'm a little old for that, but we have a great communications team and with some really great young people on it that are into all that social media. So
awesome. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope to have you back for another time, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much.